Yes, full consciousness is for everybody. Enlightenment is realization of yourself, of your true self. Realization of your true source as the self, which is consciousness in reality, and everybody is conscious already, but not everybody is working from a place of consciousness. Not everybody is functioning, is fully opened to consciousness. So comparing to the Indian saints and such, well, these are the teachers of enlightenment. And a teacher or a guru is a certain position. It's a certain task. It's a certain responsibility. So yes, being a guru or a teacher is not for everybody, but to realize yourself, your true self, is for everybody. So this is the biggest misconception. Is enlightenment available? Can I be enlightened? Is it possible? Yes, it is. It is possible, it is available to everybody, it is for you. But to become a teacher of enlightenment, a guru or a sage, that is not for everybody, because that takes a lot of years or previous lifetimes or a certain maturity of the soul to be in a position of a mastery of enlightenment. So that takes a lot of, we could say, maturity and integration to have the ability to actually teach others and help others to also awaken into their own true nature. So this takes maturity, this takes integration, and many times it's actually, this maturity and integration comes from past lives, because there are masters who are coming from the past lives already having all these gifts and all these abilities, and they bring them into this lifetime as well. So these are the sages, these are the gurus, these are the masters. And these are the old and mature souls, cosmic souls, universal souls. These are very, very old souls. So that takes a lot of maturity. But to realize who you are is for everybody. That is for everybody, and this is the future of humanity, that in about 500 years everybody will be fully realized, will be fully conscious being, meaning knowing yourself, knowing who you truly are, knowing the one of consciousness, that all is consciousness, it is one, but it is expressed uniquely through you, through your unique body, through your unique way. So you are unique, and you should not try to change that. You should not try to become a guru or a teacher. You should try to become you, the best version of you. So full consciousness is essentially the best version of you on a highest vibration, completely boundless, open, and with full awareness, with full boundless awareness, boundless consciousness. So that is the realization of who you truly are, and then you simply express uniquely through yourself. Then you continue expressing yourself. So in the future humanity, everybody will be fully realized, and there will be fully realized scientists, fully realized IT people, fully realized technicians, fully realized artists, painters, musicians, chefs, and everything else. And so that is available to everybody, because that is a deepest realization of who you truly are and living as such. Living as such. Being who you truly are. So the problem in the West and so forth, and in the East, is that the mind tends to compare and then tends to get confused. So whenever one speaks of enlightenment, immediately there is a notion of somebody in India or somebody who is a saint. And in the West, it is so much more limited, because in the West, if you would ask, are there any more saints in the West? The common Westerner will say it's only Jesus. There's nobody else speaking the truth but Jesus. This is what the Christian would reply. And in India it's a bit more common, because if you would ask a common Indian, are there any saints? And they would say, oh yeah, we have so many of them. There is Shiva and Krishna and Rama and Ramana and this and this and this and that. Oh, there are so many. They're everywhere. They have been all the time here. So this is a common knowledge in India, that yes, there are many beings who are fully realized. And in the West, it's so much limited. The Christianity promotes only one figure, Jesus, and only that truth is the truth. There are no other truths, and that is false. The truth is love, it's consciousness. That is the truth. It's your own nature. And one has to realize that. So Jesus was a messenger, he was a messiah, he was avatar, so of course he was a very mature and old soul. He had a great mission on earth. But there are many others who have different tasks and different missions on this earth, because there is such a huge diversity on this earth. So to summarize, is enlightenment for everybody? Yes, it is for everybody to realize who you are. Not who Jesus was, not who Ramana was, not who somebody else was, is to realize who you are. And that is your duty. Actually, this is the single most important responsibility that you have on this earth. Because any other tasks are mundane tasks. So to realize who you truly are is the goal of the human being. Any other task is a secondary, it's a mundane task. Everybody already knows how to eat and sleep and how to make children and how to go to work. Everybody knows that too. That's a mundane life. But what is the real purpose of the human nature? It is to realize oneself, who one truly is. So this is very important, to have that clarity, that realization, full consciousness is for you. But do not be confused with gurus and teachers and sages and saints and avatars, because these are very ancient souls. They have different purposes. They have missions on earth. So perhaps you will also awaken to your larger mission. Or perhaps when you are fully conscious, you will enjoy gardening. Who knows? It is completely up to you who you truly are. So that is the clarification, that full consciousness is for you. And what you will do with that, it is up to you. And the only person that you will have to look at is yourself. Majority of people today are still coming through the spiritual way to discover consciousness, but now there is a new wave, the new trend rising, which is a scientific, evidential, and experiential conscious way. It's not about belief, it's about verification. So this is where we can say it's going to be a divine science confirming that yes, vibrations, frequencies work in that way, and yes, as vibrations, frequencies rise, they start functioning on a higher and higher order and harmony and balance. So that is a divine science, and that is arising right now. And this is our focus as well, to educate everyone about how the universe actually works, so that you can awaken to the higher level of consciousness. And we only would use certain practices of certain paths or traditions or spiritual practices only with the purpose to help you effectively awaken to the higher level of consciousness and to verify that yes, it is now your experience on this higher vibration. High vibrational life is actually very scientific and extremely conscious. High vibrational life is to realize the frequencies, vibrations, how they go up, how they go down, what influences the higher vibration and what produces a lower vibration, emotions. You know, which emotions are we can say negative and they're destructive, and which emotions or feelings can help you progress forward. So high vibrational life is actually very scientific life and extremely conscious life. And that is the future of humanity. That is the future of humanity, to know how the universe is working, to know the laws of the universe, and to live according to those laws of the universe. And the universe is we could say, a vortex of ever-rising vibration into a higher vibration, higher density, higher dimension. And that is extremely scientific and extremely based on awareness, consciousness, evidence, and confirmation, inner verification, that yes, this is how it really works, and yes, higher vibration is exactly like that, and what do you have to do to get to that higher vibration? What do you have to purify, to release, to let go, which is of a lower vibration, in order to live on a higher vibration? And this is where the levels of consciousness come in, because the levels of consciousness are really not so spiritual. They're not of any particular path. They're not of any particular tradition. They're scientific levels of consciousness of human conditioning and knowledge of the universe, that on a higher level of consciousness there are different laws, and the experience is very different on a higher level of consciousness. And this is the future of humanity, which is science and consciousness. Science, knowing the energy, the structure, the way the universe works, and consciousness as the source of all, where actually the whole universe is within consciousness. It came from consciousness, it is within consciousness, it is consciousness, but it's experienced as energy. And that will be the future of humanity. Perhaps not. Spirituality first we have to ask, what is spirituality? So spirituality is a certain energetic connectedness with a higher dimensional awareness. And that is called spirituality. There is the fourth dimensional spirituality, which is astral projections, travels. There is the fifth dimensional spirituality, which is the New Age. There is the sixth through ninth dimensional spirituality, which is about I Am Presence and Ascended Masters and the higher cosmic beings. Then there is even a higher dimensional spirituality, which is divine spirituality, which is the realm of gods and goddesses. So spirituality is actually a certain energetic connectedness with higher dimensions and developing awareness and specific gifts of these higher dimensional energy capacities, like for example psychic abilities. So these are optional. They're optional and they're not for everybody. They're for the souls who have chosen to have this higher dimensional awareness in this life. And generally the true meaning of spirituality and how many people are actually truly, we could say, spiritual, they are counted in millions on earth. But for the rest, it is actually about consciousness. It is about consciousness, it is about truth, and the truth is not spiritual. The truth is the truth of the nature of existence, of consciousness. And this is why we have a tradition, for example, Zen, which is not a spiritual tradition, it's a tradition of truth. And there are many other traditions which are based on the truth. So these, we could not really define them as spiritual traditions because they're based on consciousness and truth. And they do not practice any rituals as such. They do not practice any psychic abilities. In Zen they would say, well, you see colors, that's fine, skip it, continue on Zen. You know, you see any visions, that's okay, let them be, don't get excited, continue with the practice of Zen. You know, so they, in these traditions they encourage not to get carried away with any kind of higher dimensional perceptions or even psychic abilities. So higher dimensional perceptions, which are altered perceptions, which is called altered consciousness, and psychic abilities, that we could say is spirituality. And the rest is actually truth consciousness. And that truth consciousness is for everybody. Spirituality is not for everybody. It's for those who feel the calling and who have gifts and who want to work on those gifts. But truth consciousness is for everybody. It is your awakening to a higher truth and a higher brightness of seeing of yourself. So let's ask, is that spiritual? To see yourself better, is that spiritual? No. So the awakening is to see yourself better, to realize a deeper truth about yourself. So awakening is something extremely positive, extremely beautiful. And it's the lightness of living, it's the brightness of living, it's the clarity of yourself. So awakening is something very special, very beautiful. Your life really begins with awakening. A beautiful life begins with awakening. And the first awakening starts at the level of 400s, according to the levels of consciousness. And what is commonly known as awakening, it's a beginning of awakening into a complete realization of yourself. So the spiritual, or generally what is known awakening, it's actually a beginning. Many people think that that's the end already. They think that, oh, I'm awakened, I'm already awakened. But that's the beginning of your journey, of your path towards your true self. And on the scale of 1000, the awakening happens at the level of 400s. So wait a moment, there's 600 more points to go. So actually you just awakened to something very large and huge that you will need to discover about yourself. No, you don't need to believe in the teachings. We are not practicing beliefs. We're practicing verifications of truth. Inquiry, realization, verification of truth, of what is actually real. So we're not focusing on any religion, on any particular path, on any particular view. We're focusing on recognizing, seeing, and verifying the truth inside you. We're not arguing about the stars in the sky. You know, that's another topic. We're not arguing if the earth is flat. We're not arguing if what is on a higher dimension yet. We're only focusing to recognize, verify the truth where, not in the sky, not in the moon, not on another galaxy, inside you. Inside you. And if you can verify that this is true, if you can realize something bigger, greater, more beautiful, you don't need to believe in that. There is nothing to believe in, because you recognize that it is already so, that that is real, that that is true. What kind of philosophy can we make out of it, of the truth? Well, people have made a lot of philosophies out of truths, and this is why when realized teachers or people say a few sentences, then then people over a period of time make a whole philosophy about it, and they get confused and they start to argue about these particular truths. But the truth is only meant to be recognized inside you and verified inside you, and that is the aha moment. It is like, oh, I get it now, or aha, I got it. This is how you recognize the truth. And that does not require any kind of belief, philosophy, or even religion as such, or ritual. There are no rituals, no philosophies, no religions. Verification of the truth inside you is what we're focusing on. The end, we can say, is realization of your true self, but that is the end of suffering. That is the end of confusion. That is the end of worries, anxieties, doubts, and fears. Realization of your true self is the end of the miseries and the suffering, the diseases and problems of the mind. And then, what do? You truly live. You truly live. You live freely. You live boundlessly. You live with intelligence. You live very intelligently. You live very consciously. You live very truthfully. So that is not the end. When you're enlightened, when you're fully realized, it's not the end. It's the end of suffering and miseries. That is the end of ego. And the true life really flowers. The true life truly, really flowers. That's what it is.